Good day, and welcome to Consider This. My name is Anthony Van Luton, and today we're going to be talking about the dynamics of love and relationships. Some of this is from one of our previous episodes, interpersonal relationships, but today we'll be focusing on the dynamics of love and relationships. None of what I'll be talking about today is based on empirical um, science. None of it is based on actual experiments. We're simply asking that you keep an open mind and consider this. I was raised to get a skill and to work a 9 to 5 to become a compliant and complicit worker. In today's society, most humans are not even aware of the aspect of being human. Most humans are just workers. They're just tools used by society. We grind our life away working a 9 to 5. And it's not until we can no longer work that we realized we were never encouraged to explore the world. We were never encouraged to look inside to understand who we are and what we're about. We were basically encouraged to wear a mask and to, perform a task. The reality is life is hard, and life is going to be hard. The good part is that life is supposed to be hard because that's how humans grow. If you navigate life when it presents itself, chances are you might find yourself struggling from a lack of knowledge and a lack of guidance from a source who understands that aspect of life. That doesn't mean that you can't learn to navigate it successfully. If you have a degree of honesty to admit you don't know what you're doing, if you have any humility in you that you could ask for help from a source that is familiar with the struggle that you're having. But for the most part, chances are you did not get that knowledge or the guidance in how to navigate that aspect of life. That's simply how it is. It's not that we're stupid or not capable. We just don't have the necessary knowledge and guidance on how to use it. We always talk about things like emotional intelligence. Well, you don't just get emotional intelligence, right? That's something that we have to understand, which means there's some degree of learning that has to happen about it to understand it, right? Do we even acknowledge that we are animals, that we are human animals? Do we even acknowledge that there is a nature to us? I think for the most part, most humans don't even think about that aspect of who and what they are. We no longer value one another based on the personality or the aura, because all humans have an aura. You've experienced it, meeting someone for the first time, and for some reason you can't explain it, but you know you don't need to be there. No. We value each other based on how much money you make, how many possessions you own. We even value ourselves based on that, which may account for some of our low self-esteem. Consider this. Consider that you are the way you are because someone intended for you to be the way you are. Everyone remembers as a child when an adult asks you what you want to be when you grow up. And if you said anything that might have been more artistic. Usually, the authority figures, the adults, will straighten you out. No, that's not going to pay the bills. You need to get a job. And so we all rush to get a job. We don't need to go into the conditioning that we were exposed to in grade school. Suffice it to say that the conditioning was very effective. We talked about that in one of our earlier episodes. I believe you'll be able to find it in this group. But today we're going to talk about the dynamics of relationships and love. And when it comes to relationships, I've had a lot. But without understanding what a healthy relationship is, what are the components necessary, right? What aspects are required in order for your interaction with another human to be considered healthy? What aspects are required? What are necessary? Right? When we talk about healthy relationships, is that even possible? Or is that simply a perspective? A lot of people are in relationships that may be considered unhealthy. Maybe there's a lot of toxicity going on. And we all know relationships that have toxicity in them that have run for many years. What is your definition of a healthy relationship? Is it based on longevity? Or is it based on some concept of reward? Meaning, does this relationship service you, provide you what you require? Often we get into relationships with little or no intent. Often, because we are human animals and we have a nature, we can often meet someone and be attracted to them. And we may think that we're attracted to them maybe because of, the way they look or things that they say. That may be true. But we also forget that we are human animals, that human animals do have an aura about them. And we may not even be aware of it or paying attention to it. Humans exude pheromones. There are hormones running. There's a whole bunch of chemistry when it comes to human beings. And we may not even be aware of it, although our body is aware of it. And in a lot of relationships, it's all passion and fire in the beginning. And we can't get enough of it. It's not until the human shows up that all hell breaks loose. As long as it was just nature and passion and fire, it was a wonderful experience. But as soon as the human shows up, oh my God, I don't know if I want to be in this. Right? A human who did not get the knowledge or the guidance to be able to navigate healthy relationships, to learn how to engage another person in a respectful manner, right? Just simple things like being able to apologize when you've been informed that you may have made a mistake or you may have transgressed. Life skills are simply tools that require practice. But for a lot of humans, they never got practice with those life skills. It's almost like I was born and then they sent me out into the world, to navigate to the best of my ability. And there was a high expectation that I would be successful. I tried my best in my relationships, but did not understand that I did not have the knowledge or the guidance to be in them successfully. That's just a fact. It's not that anyone was mean or evil or pejorative. They were just being who they are. But my inability to understand that they're just being human and not having the ability to accept that, well, we know how that ends up. Their inability to accept that I'm human, we know how that ends up. There are plenty of people who are in the world who were blessed to have that type of guidance in their life, so they're a little more grounded. But consider this, that maybe you weren't so blessed, right? Maybe you're struggling in your relationship, right? I had never thought about it before, but what would be what are the components that would make a healthy relationship? Right? What is required for it to be a healthy relationship? When I ask myself that, I find out that I don't really know. And you know why I don't know? Because I don't know who the heck I am. I have been conditioned to play a role. Nowhere along the way in all of my education did they take the time to help me as a human find out who I am and what I'm about. Because all of the conditioning was about discouraging our authenticity. Remember, we had to join the herd. We had to be like the rest of the crowd, or else there was going to be trouble. Emotional children, if you couldn't get it together, society didn't bother wasting time trying to help you understand your feelings. They would just medicate you because the agenda is for you to join the herd. Full stop. Now I'm trying to engage in a relationship with another human and I have no clue who the hell I am, which means I have no clue what the heck I want. I need to understand better who am I? What am I about before I can even communicate to another person what it is I desire, what it is I require, as opposed to, you should figure it out. You should know, right? As a man or as a woman, we're simply playing roles. We're acting. We're actors. We're not authentic, right? You're playing the role of a man or a woman. And we don't even have a definition for that, right? It's just, if I'm good to my woman, then she calls me the man, right? And as soon as I deny her, I ain't no man, right? I know we've all heard that before. What is the set criteria that will qualify me as a man so that I can believe that I've achieved that? If we put 11 people in a room and ask 11 people what's the definition of a man, we're going to get 11 different definitions. So obviously, being a man or being a woman is acting. We're playing roles. And we're finding that those roles don't fit. right? Because they don't exist. They're made up. Who are you authentically as an individual, right? And so if you did not learn how to look internally to understand who you are and what works for you in life and what doesn't work for you in life, how could you possibly communicate or expect that from another person? Right? But we do. Sometimes we just expect our partner to somehow, you should know. Right? If I can't communicate it, not very realistic that I should expect that you would know what I like. Many people are just in relationships because, they don't want to be alone. They don't know how to be alone. They're afraid to be alone. Many people are in relationships where they live under the same roof, but they are not together. Right? Many humans really don't know how to be present in their relationships. They don't know how to listen to their partner to get a better understanding of what it is they might be able to do. If I could clearly understand who I am and what I'm about, and then communicate to you what it is I require, what it is I want in a relationship, for me to consider it to be healthy, then you get to say whether you are able to provide those things or not. Like many people are sort of conditioned, to be in relationships with an agenda. You need a roof over your head. You need access to their possessions. When it comes to human animals, we have some of the same natural instincts that wild animals have. The only difference between human animal and the wild animal is that we have the higher capacity. We can actually put some thought into our behavior. We can put some thought into our plans. We can make our life intentional, meaning we meant for it to happen. Right? No, they got pregnant. We wasn't expecting to have a kid. Well, you must have been because you didn't use protection. Right? That's a type of intent, but you intended to mess up. Right? And so when we talk about healthy relationships, the first requirement would be for you, for me, to have a better understanding of who I am, realistically. Not the mask, not the representative I've been sending out into the world. Right? There's some work that needs to be done. And if you don't have the knowledge or the guidance, you're going to struggle with that. So we need to identify a source that has the knowledge and the ability to guide us to do that work successfully. Once you're able to identify who you are authentically, then you can present to the world. And there are plenty of people who are able to do that because they were, in an environment where that support was given. But if you are a human who is wilding out behind your emotions because you don't have knowledge or guidance about emotional intelligence, if you are a human who cannot save a penny because you were never given the knowledge or the guidance about saving or budgeting or investing, consider that there may be some other aspects of human life that you were not given the knowledge and guidance to navigate successfully. Just a thought. My next question would be, what is my definition of love? Again, I think if we put 11 people in the room, there's going to be 11 different definitions of love. And my definition may not jive with my partner's definition. If I can clearly communicate what my definition of love is, if I really truly believe in it, then my partner gets to say whether they can provide or not. But the unrealistic expectation that I should know what love is automatically, or that it should be the same definition as theirs, that's not very realistic. Just saying love and expecting everyone's definition of love to be the same is asking for it. What is your definition of love? Do you have one? Is it one that you insist on, that you believe in, that you practice? A lot of questions, Who are you? What are you about? Authentically. And a lot of people don't have that answer because we've been conditioned not to be different, not to be unique, not to be authentic. You don't want to be alone with yourself. You need a distraction from yourself, so you have to always be in the relationship. Dr. Phil would ask, how's that working for you? Right? And many of the relationships, they're just distractions. There's a lot of noise and interference. And you have to navigate this thing on a daily basis. For a lot of people, on a momentarily basis, there's always a lot of noise coming from your significant other. And they're probably experiencing the same thing from you. As much as it's easy for us to look at other people and criticize their behavior, it's a little harder to turn that focus inward. Poor humans. I mean, what human thinks that they need to look at some stuff? What would make a person even consider that there is something wrong with them? The reality is that most humans feel like their stuff doesn't stink. Most humans feel like there is nothing wrong with their behavior. And no matter how bad we might judge it to be, most humans think that their behavior is just fine. And most humans, like me, are going to go defensive should you suggest, well, who are you to judge me? Friends, family, people who love you, who care about you. Well, I know a little something about you too. So who are you to judge me? It's not until we hit that wall that we can't navigate successfully that we would even stop to consider that maybe there's something I should take a look at. Or maybe, what they're saying, might have some relevance to it. Other than that happening, most people think that they are balling and that their stuff doesn't stink and that they are fine just as they are. But the truth is, all humans struggle from the day they're born without knowledge, without experience, They absorb and have experience, and we know it all hasn't been good. But that's life, right? There's good parts of our lives, and there's bad parts. But that's the reality, right? There's going to be good and bad. There's going to be up and down. There's going to be in and out. There's going to be light and dark. When do we accept that? Or maybe you're like me and expect it to be happy 24/7. See, I chased happy for a lot of years. And when I found happy, I set up shop. For some reason, happy left. And when happy left, I left. Until I found it again and set up shop again. What can I say? Right? With some help, some knowledge, and some guidance, I was able to work on changing my perspective. Life is hard, and it's going to be hard. That's the reality. But it's supposed to be hard because this is how humans grow, by navigating life when it presents itself. I learned that not navigating life when it presents itself and running to my comfort zone only made things worse. Because whatever it was that presented itself to me was still there when I came back. And usually it was a bigger issue than when it initially presented itself. I have to learn to practice to navigate life when it presents itself. Let me engage it right then and there. Let me get a better understanding of what the deal is here. And if I don't have the knowledge or the ability, I need to identify a source that is knowledgeable and can help guide me to navigate that aspect of life successfully. And that's just simply the human struggle. From the moment you're born till you take your last breath, life is going to present itself. And it's not presenting itself just willy-nilly. When life presents itself, it wants to be dealt with. Whatever, however it's presenting itself. And for humans, it can present itself in a whole bunch of different ways. Each of us have some skills currently that we're good at. And we're only good at them because we practice them. Life skills require practice too. You want to be in a healthy relationship? Well, how healthy of an individual are you currently? Can you even provide 50% of a healthy relationship? Or do you get in relationships and expect your significant other to be the healthy one? Right? A lot of people get into relationships because, everyone else is in a relationship. How about the relationships where you wish you weren't in one, yet you're in one? You're actually in a relationship with another person, living under the same roof, and you are more lonely than you have ever been in your life. Right? Do you know why you're lonely? Maybe it's something that the authentic you desires or requires and is not getting. But since you don't know who the heck you are, you probably just won't find out until you do the work. And how long can you stay in that relationship and be lonely? But expecting someone else to be responsible for my happiness? How realistic is that? Maybe two people who are handling their own happiness can come together and not burden one another. with providing that. Maybe two individual happy people, can be more of a healthy relationship. Who knows? We're just saying, keep an open mind, and consider the possibilities that we as humans, are engaging relationships without, being authentic, playing roles, no definitions or not clear definition of what we consider love, not knowing what it is we want, and no intention to it. I just met this person and we liked each other. So, just a thought. And so I'm going to thank you for tuning in today to consider this. My name is Anthony Van Luton, and I hope this information was useful. If not, tune in for the next episode. Hopefully, that information will, hit right on the spot. And so, again, thank you